Let me ask you something. Have you ever worked really hard on something and it felt like nobody noticed? No likes, no compliments, no support. Just you, putting in effort every day. And after a while, a thought starts creeping into your mind. Is this even worth it? That feeling right there is something almost every successful person has experienced. It's called the silent phase of success. The part of the journey where you're working, improving, sacrificing, and from the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. No recognition, no applause, just quiet progress. And honestly, this is where most people quit. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack potential, but because they mistake silence for failure. And if you're in that phase right now, this video might change how you see it. Because the silent phase isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. In many cases, it's a sign that you're doing exactly the right thing. The silent phase usually begins when you decide to change something about your life. Maybe you want to get in shape. Maybe you want to learn a new skill, start a business, improve your mindset, or simply become a better version of yourself. At first, you feel excited, motivated. You imagine how things could change if you stay consistent. But then reality kicks in. Progress is slow, results are invisible, and nobody seems to care. You wake up early to work on your goals, nobody notices. You spend hours learning something new, nobody applauds. You skip distractions to stay focused, nobody praises the discipline. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But inside, a lot is happening. You're building habits, you're building discipline, you're building a version of yourself that didn't exist before. The problem is, growth rarely looks impressive in the beginning. It looks quiet, repetitive, sometimes even boring. And because we live in a world that constantly shows highlight reels, success stories, big wins, viral moments, it's easy to believe that success is supposed to look exciting all the time. But most of the real work happens long before anyone sees the result. Think about learning a new skill. When someone becomes great at something, we usually see the finished version, the confident speaker, the skilled athlete, the successful entrepreneur. What we don't see is the hundreds of hours they spent practicing when nobody was watching, the mistakes, the doubts, the slow improvement. That was their silent phase. And here's something important to understand. The silent phase isn't just about working without recognition. It's about learning how to keep going without validation. Because when nobody is cheering for you, your only source of motivation has to come from within. And that's not easy. There will be days when you question yourself, days when progress feels invisible, days when you wonder if everyone else is moving ahead while you're stuck in the same place. But here's the truth. The silent phase is where real confidence is built. Not the loud, flashy kind, the quiet kind. The kind that comes from knowing you're showing up even when it's hard. Every time you work on your goals without needing attention, you're strengthening something powerful: self-trust. Self-trust means you believe in your ability to follow through. It means you keep promises to yourself. And that's one of the most valuable traits you can develop. Because motivation comes and goes, but self-trust, that stays. Another thing people often misunderstand about the silent phase is how long it can last. Sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years. And during that time, it can feel like you're moving in slow motion while everyone else is sprinting ahead. Social media makes this feeling even worse. You scroll through endless success stories, people announcing big achievements, big milestones, big changes, and suddenly your small daily efforts feel insignificant. But here's what most people don't realize. What looks like an overnight success usually has years of invisible effort behind it. Years of quiet work, years of trial and error, years of showing up when nobody was paying attention. The silent phase hides the foundation of success. And without that foundation, success usually doesn't last. So the real question becomes this: how do you survive the silent phase? How do you keep going when the world feels quiet? Here are 3 things that help. First, focus on progress, not recognition. Recognition is unpredictable. Sometimes people notice your work, sometimes they don't. But progress is something you can control. Did you improve a little today? Did you show up again? Did you take one step forward? That counts. Small progress repeated consistently becomes massive change over time. Second, stop announcing everything. A lot of people lose energy by talking too much about their plans. They tell everyone about their goals, their ideas, their future success, and talking about it gives temporary satisfaction without real results. Instead, try doing more and announcing less. Work quietly. Let your results do the talking later. Third, enjoy the process. If the only thing you enjoy is the final outcome, the journey will feel unbearable. But if you learn to enjoy the small daily actions, learning, improving, building, the silent phase becomes meaningful because you realize you're not just chasing a goal, you're becoming someone stronger along the way. And that shift in mindset changes everything. Eventually, something interesting happens. The silent phase ends. Not overnight, not dramatically, but slowly results begin to appear. Your skills improve, your confidence grows, your work becomes noticeable, and suddenly people start paying attention. They see the progress, they see the success, and they might even say things like, "Wow, that happened fast." But you'll know the truth. It didn't happen fast. It happened quietly. It happened during all those days when nobody noticed, all those hours when you kept going anyway. That's the power of the silent phase. It builds strength that applause never could. So if you feel like you're working hard and nobody sees it yet, that's okay. You might be exactly where you need to be. Because the silent phase isn't empty. It's preparation. It's where discipline grows. It's where character forms. It's where the future version of you is slowly being built. So here's something simple I want you to try. Tonight, take 5 minutes and think about one thing you're working on. Just one. A skill, a habit, a goal. And then ask yourself this question. Am I willing to keep going even if nobody notices yet? If the answer is yes, you're already ahead of most people. Because the ones who succeed are not always the most talented. They're the ones who survive the quiet part of the journey. So keep showing up, keep improving, keep building, even if it feels invisible right now. Because one day, people might call your success sudden, but you'll know the truth. It was built in silence.